Right now, we have a very special edition of the Question of the Week series because we're going to go over a question that many of us don't apply to. So for all of you out there with regular fucking eyes and regular legs and regular working arms, this may not be for you. However, I do think that this stands for you to learn a lot because at the end of the day, we all need to be grateful for the things that we have, because a lot of times we tend to lose perspective. But for those of you out there who feel like you have a disability or you have something that's holding you back, whether it be maybe you can't fucking walk, maybe you're in a wheelchair, maybe you're fucking blind. Hell, I knew a dude who was a blind magician who got into seduction, and he actually used, despite his sight, whatever, he used his occupation, he used his skills to meet women. So it can be done. But I will say one thing right off the bat: I do not have any particular disability that limits me in any major way, so I cannot speak from perspective. However, where's my phone? However, I do know what it's like to be in a situation or to be in an environment where you feel as though you have something that may be perceived as a disadvantage, or you might not fit the mold or the character of what is around you being seen as successful with women. Like, for example, I grew up Chinese and Puerto Rican. Now, I grew up in the Bronx, where most of the people, I was here in Italy, so there was some Italians, there was some Yugoslavians, there was some Albanians, but for the most part, most people there were Dominican, they were Puerto Rican, they were black, and a couple white people sprinkled in. But for the most part, I was mostly the only Asian around, so I know what it was like to walk into a room. I got the Hispanic chicks like, mira, ese chinito, and then you got people trying to play you or whatever the case is, where you have to deal with advantage or something that is a disadvantage, or you feel like is a disadvantage, and turn it and flip it on its fucking head. So without further ado, let's read the fucking question of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Getting over my disability. Hi guys, I'm 21 male. I consider myself quite good looking. Not Brad Pitt by any means though, but I use a wheelchair due to cerebral palsy. I can still feel everything though. I also hit the gym 5 times a week. I think one of the biggest things holding me back from chatting with women is that my disability will always be a focus. I'm aware that I'm at a disadvantage, but how can I overcome this insecurity? Because to be honest, this is probably my biggest hangups in terms of dating. I consider myself a highly sociable person, but this is always dragging me down. Any advice would be appreciated. Cheers. First thing right off the bat, I want to say congratulations on having such a great fucking attitude. They got people, you know how many people here on that forum that I got this question from are basically there, healthy, and they're like, oh my god, it's the end of the world because I just feel really down about myself and I just got dumped and all this type of shit. Meanwhile, they're healthy, they're healthy in a first world country, they're in a good neighborhood, you know what I mean? They have a lot of shit going for them, but they don't see that. And you were in a fucking wheelchair, and yet you speak with such abundance and such energy. And I think that right there jumps off the bat. That's why I feel like you as a person, you won't necessarily have this problem. As soon as you take in the fact that you are in a wheelchair, you turn that advantage, or rather that disadvantage, into an advantage. That's what I did growing up. That's what I did. Look, when you speak to a girl and you're disabled, guess what? There's gonna be an elephant in the room. When I grew up, I was the only Asian around. So anytime I spoke to a girl, guess what? That was the big elephant in the room. The elephant in the room was the fact that I did not look like everyone else around me, so I turned that disadvantage into an advantage. So for example, if you're Asian, I'm over here telling girls like, hey, yo, you look really sexy in a kipao. Do you know what a kipao is? Oh shit. You know what a kipao is? Damn, I think we're gonna have to get a divorce. Alright, well, a kipao is basically like a really sexy Chinese dress. So I used to bring my culture, because most people, what happens is we all have a certain NLP towards things. And NLP stands for Neuro Linguistics Programming. Basically, it means whatever you're told and conditioned with, it has an association. So if you hear the word, like, I hate to get political, but if you hear the word terrorist and you imagine like a Muslim dude, that's something that's been conditioned into you. Maybe a Muslim dude hears terrorist and he thinks of like a white dude in a suit, or whatever the case is. We all have different NLP. So when it comes to a wheelchair, when it comes to someone disabled, all of our NLP has been basically set up to sympathize, to fucking basically pity. But pity is not a very attractive emotion. So when you meet a girl, the biggest hang up is that she has a negative NLP towards your race or towards your disability. Maybe she sees you in a wheelchair, so she feels pity, so she doesn't feel that excitement and attraction, because instead she's feeling this negative unconscious emotion. So what your job is to do is to take that shit and to completely flip it on its fucking head. To take the thing that's a disadvantage, something that they've been programmed to think is a negative thing, and now turn it into an advantage. For example, being Asian or whatever the case is, being half Asian, I would take things like, for example, everyone might label Asians being quiet or shy or whatever the case was. So when I meet girls, I would bring it right to the forefront. I would say things like, it could be a couple sentences in it. I'm just like, so what kind of white girl are you? And then the reason that is because I want to get to know them and also relate it back to me and relate back to, like, you, if you're in a wheelchair, that shit is not something that you should ignore. Actually, one of the funniest opinion openers way back in the day before all this YouTube shit was actually, would you date a guy in a wheelchair? And that's something that me and my friend actually did when we were 13. We were going around, except when he asked the chick this, she was actually a grown woman, and she asked, it was like a survey or some shit for school, and he kind of pussied out and said it was, which I never let him down for that shit. You shouldn't have pussied out, man. But the point is that when you're in a wheelchair, right, you take it. For example, let me put it like this. If I was in a wheelchair, what I would do is I would go up to girls and say a bunch of popping shit about being in a wheelchair. I'm like, yo, you ever dated a guy in a wheelchair? I gotta be honest though, like, I can't have no ugly bitches sitting on my lap. Like, if you're gonna push me, you gotta be a cute girl, man. Or if you're gonna be sitting on my lap, I could roll you around, but are you fat? I mean, maybe you might think that I can't feel nothing in my legs, but I actually can. And matter of fact, honestly, if you have a fat butt, I kind of actually like my legs kind of numb. You see right there, I'm just flirting, I'm joking, I'm saying random jokes that you can use, but I'm taking something that they might consider a bad thing, and now I'm flipping it on its head. Not only that, but I'm actually sexualizing it. So you're taking your disadvantage and you're turning it not only into an advantage, but you're also sexualizing it. You're making her mind think things where it's like, oh shit, I never fucked a guy in a wheelchair, but you know, this guy's really cool. Like, it's almost like it's like this new thing, this new part. Like, as hard as it is to imagine, girls are very energetic. If you're a guy in a wheelchair at a party and everyone fucking loves you, you don't think you can go home with a chick? Come on, man. It's not so. What it is, a lot of times what it is for girls, they're worried about whether or not it's going to be this negative emotion, this negative burden. So the moment you let her know, like, listen, I take care of myself. Now, you need to make sure that you're cute to roll me around or to sit on my lap while I roll us together and all these goofy you see all these stupid motherfuckers out here walking? Think I'm in this wheelchair by accident? No, I'm here because I want to be. I don't want to be walking around like the rest of these fools. Like, if you were lucky to be my wife, and I was lucky enough to roll you, and you were lucky enough to get rolled around by me, I just want you to know, that's quite the high honor. See, these are just freestyle jokes, freestyle comedy, but this is something that I know for a fact that if I was in a wheelchair, I would do. I guarantee you, I could just imagine the chicks' faces. They would just slowly start to look like, oh shit, like, who is this guy? Like, who does this guy think he is? Not only that, but you can take it and you be like, tell a chick to sit on your lap or whatever. Don't just go around and letting bitches sit on your lap, but let them embrace, let them touch the wheelchair. Be like, okay, yeah, you can touch the wheelchair, but hey, not too much, you know. You can't, hands off the merchandise. I charge after a while or whatever the case is. You take the thing that's a disadvantage and once again, you turn it into an advantage because you, my man, you have a great fucking energy, and that shit is something that other people won't have. Whether they have legs, whether they have eyes, whether they have arms, whatever. The great energy that you have, the charm, the way you write, I can tell you're a cool motherfucker. That right there will go a long way. A lot of it is your mental hang-up, but once you get over that, not only get over that, but you take that shit and you put it to the forefront and you look at it, you take something that people, like Mike Tyson was a short heavyweight. No one was supposed to be 5'10" heavyweight champion, but he made that shit his advantage. He used his height and made himself a small target by moving side to side to where you fucking were basically swinging at the top of his fucking head. By coming through with a wheelchair, you get to take attention. For example, guy in a wheelchair walks in the room, guess what? A lot of the attention now goes on him because you stand out. But that can be used as a good thing, because if you come in the room and you're the awesome guy in a wheelchair, guess what? Everyone's gonna fucking love you that much more because they know for a fact the amount of strength it takes to be that kind of person. A chick is not gonna feel bad or feel some kind of way about fucking a guy in a wheelchair, if you're such a great fucking energy, she's gonna feel like, wow, this dude is really something special, because he's in this bad particular situation that most people would be emo motherfuckers in, and he's taking and he's flipping on his head. In fact, not only that, but he's making the rest of the normie people around him look fucking normie as hell, square as hell. Matter of fact, the fact that he's dealt with all this shit kind of gives him that character. It kind of gives him that strength. It kind of gives him that charm to where he could walk into a room and it's like, damn, I'm different from everybody, but guess what? I fucking love it. I fucking accept it. And if you don't love it, if you don't accept it, I kind of pity you, girl. In fact, I think I'm going to send you those divorce papers. So with that being said, bro, this right here is a heart-to-heart video. I know, I can't say I know what it's like, obviously, but I know what it's like to be in a situation where you feel like you stand out in the room, or you feel like people are looking at you with a negative perception that you can't shake off, but instead you can shake it off. And the fact that you have a positive mindset, that is the first fucking step. So with that being said, bro, thank you if you're watching this video, bro. Anyone else out there, whether it be you're short, whether it be that you're whatever the case is, hey, I know a short homie, he goes up to tall chicks and he's like, hey man, I'm gonna climb you. But I gotta be honest though, like he just said some funny shit. He takes the things that are disadvantages, you turn them into your biggest advantage. And that right there is the key secret to dating women with a disability, to dating women with anything that you feel is a disadvantage to you as a man. So with that being said, thank you for watching this week's edition of the Question of the Week series. See you on the next episode. Pimp, kill it out there, man.